All right, welcome back to the 321 Backlog Podcast.
Hi guys.
Hello!
Hi.
I'm definitely not buying a 3-foot HDMI cable on Amazon at the moment.
Professional.
Using an expired credit card. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. Backlog.
What game are we playing today? What game are we talking about today?
Talking about Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker on GameCube, Nintendo GameCube. Initially I kind of thought this was a launch title. I guess in Japan it came out like a little over a year after the GameCube came out, and they kind of rushed it out for holiday season to try and get the sales out there. So it came out in America in 2003.
Right
I
on.
didn't know that. That was I thought like Nintendo consoles came with like they launched with a Zelda game. I thought that's just the way we did it.
Well, that's definitely how the Switch did it.
Yeah, I feel like I mean, I guess it's such a big staple. You either got to pick Mario or Zelda, or you probably don't want to do both.
Right.
That would just be too good
Now,
of Nintendo.
pretty consistently, Legend of Zelda has been fully off of my radar.
Yeah. So, have you ever played any other Zelda games?
I played a whopping maybe 12 minutes of the one on the Switch.
Okay, so this was your like, if you played this when it came out, it would have been the only Zelda game you ever played.
Pretty much.
That's wild.
I've what is the one that just came out on Switch a couple of years ago? I'm
Breath of
completely
the
blanking.
Wild.
Breath of the Wild. Yeah, that I have now played the Wind Waker more than I played Legend. I'm blanking so hard
Breath,
on
Breath of the
Breath
Wild.
of the Wild. I have now played that more than Breath of the Wild, and it was yeah. I got maybe an hour or two into the Wind Waker before the controls did me in
How do you like? Of Wind Waker.
of Wind Waker.
Okay. Yeah, I played a little bit of this is Breath of the Wild podcast. Welcome back, guys. I played a little bit of Breath of the Wild. I grew up with I think Adventure of Link, which is Zelda 2 on Super Nintendo on Nintendo Original, the gold cartridge. I had that when I was a kid. It was the only Zelda game I played for a really long time, and I think everybody hates that game
Right.
because it's like a 2D platformer mixed in, like it's like an open world, open map kind of game, like top down, the way like old RPGs are. But then when you go into a town or you go into a dungeon, it would be a 2D side-scrolling platformer. So I think people didn't really like that very much. I did,
Right.
akin to Shovel Knight, if you ever wrapped your hands around that game.
That I also have not played, but I've heard about it.
Basically, yeah, it's very similar to that. It's a side-scrolling game. Yeah. So you never played any other Zelda games before? Okay.
No, I have not.
Okay. So you've played them all then.
That's kind of what I'm hearing is that a lot of them all of them are kind of like the same, loosely the same story over and over again.
Yeah, I feel like somebody's gonna hate me for saying this, and I'm probably gonna get it wrong. My understanding is like all these mainline Zelda games are canon. They're just in different timelines. The bad guy Ganon is like locked away forever for all eternity, and he can escape or something like that and get out. And he gets out and has like different iterations of himself in the timeline that he gets out in. And then like I guess some happens to be a blonde-haired guy that becomes the hero all the time. Something like that.
Yeah, when I was playing through the Wind Waker, I was actually kind of confused. I didn't know if you were playing as Link or not. That I was noticing early on that whenever somebody addressed your character, it was just like brother or hey you or like nobody ever like initially
Addressed to his
like
Link.
addressed you as Link.
Are you ever can canonically called Link? Yeah, right?
I don't know. I mean that's
It
everybody
is Link though.
knows, right? Everybody knows it's Link,
Yeah.
but I mean even in Breath of the Wild, which I'll mention over and over again because it's the only other one I've played.
Dude, if you're gonna play a Zelda game, you have to compare them to every other Zelda game.
Even in that one, I don't know if anyone ever mentions your name. but everybody knows that's who you are. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they know you're the hero. That's why, right?
Right. So you've played more Zelda games. How would this one compare to the other ones you played?
I think probably because I'm old, I think I prefer like the 2D, 3D, whatever, like top down style games. It just feels to me like it's more of like the I guess the way that I interpreted the creator to like want that game. I guess like they're very true to the original, like the original. I ended up getting like the first Zelda game when I was a kid. I ended up getting it like I think I bought it off of one of our neighbors or something, but I just feel like those types of games in general, like they just feel more like an adventure to me. I guess I don't know why. I guess I don't know. The worlds don't feel as empty in general. Like there's like this real sense of expanding adventure. Whereas the way Zelda games, like especially Wind Waker, man, it felt kind of empty. The boat being in a boat a lot didn't bother
Yeah,
me much,
right.
but
Right when you
yeah.
get into the boat, it's like, okay, what the hell do I do now?
Yeah, it's a very big game, but like what, like you can tell it's an expansive game, but at the same time, like is it expansive for the sake of it? And I guess there's some kind of something with the story where it's the whole game is supposed to be flooded, so it's like another world, but like water happened.
Yeah, there was a couple of the storylines I was trying to really pay attention to playing it for the first time. They were playing pretty heavily into like, oh, and by the way, spoilers because we might talk about some of the adventures on this, but they had like a gods aspect, like the gods were doing this, so there was problems
Yeah.
with the gods, and
Oh yeah.
one of the first ones you get to, there's like an angry wind god or something,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's affecting the world. So there could be something underlying with that.
Yeah. He got his like butt stuck on a toilet. Basically, he's pooping into a volcano.
There it is. You heard it here first.
Dude, there's so much. Okay, all right, let's get into it a little bit. Okay. So kind of starting from the beginning. Okay, what did you played? You played the GameCube version, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so did I. I didn't want to get I didn't do the Wii U one. I have a Wii U, but I just didn't really. I don't know. I guess I wanted to see how it played originally. I like the GameCube controller, so I wanted to experience that. So you start out and you're clearly going to be the hero of the story. You're like the classic sleepy hero, right? You're
Exactly.
oversleeping your own adventure.
Of course.
And when I first started playing it, I kind of thought that the like your little sister was supposed to be Zelda, you know?
So did I. So did I.
But that would be kind of strange because I'm pretty sure Link is like supposed maybe romantically something. I don't think that. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
Different
I,
timeline.
yeah, pretty quickly it's like, hey, we're in
Yeah.
my favorite spot, and then it's like, this is Errol's spot. So I was like, okay, maybe it's not Zelda. Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then you run around. You're just running around basically. They give you like a solid 30 minutes of running around your home island to get nauseated by the camera.
Oh
And
Lord, that
then
camera.
you encounter a kid with a runny nose.
Yeah.
Do you remember that kid?
Was it the one like right off the bridge?
Yeah, he's like right there and he just
Yeah.
chases you down with his snotty nose. That's weird, man.
Yeah. I think I was still learning the controls, and I fell off of those bridges so many times
You
that
slipped on his snot.
I I was going like red in the face trying to like deal with that inverted left and right, which was the weirdest control choice.
Yeah, I feel like it's bold to. I don't understand that. I don't know. I mean, I guess we could have looked up why they would like maybe Miyamoto gave like a specific reason for that. I don't
Yeah.
know, but to me it was unacceptable. It's different from every single game I've ever even played. I know some games have an inverted vertically, but a horizontal. If
Yeah.
anybody's played this game a long time ago, they probably forgot how atrocious that is. Like they don't know.
Yeah. And with with the newer games, most games nowadays you can mess with the bindings a little bit
Yeah.
to try and fix that, or they'll say, hey, do you want to invert? And you can say, no, that's dumb. Certain games it calls for like flying simulators, but that's about it. But yeah, going back and playing this 20-year-old game, we're recording this in 2023, 20-year-old game is making me really appreciate some of the advances we've made for gaming.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they updated that in the Wii U version. the camera.
That'd be an interesting thing to compare.
It would definitely make it a little bit better, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's in the settings or something, but I didn't have the Wii U version to look, so
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's like I said back then, maybe the idea of cameras and stuff, or they were still trying to figure it out, because I know the N64 before that, they didn't really have like a camera, like a secondary joystick or joypad. They kind of just had like the little arrow directional things for the camera, but I don't know.
Right. More directional pad than actual joystick.
Yeah, so the camera sucks. Did you like you said, okay, so then you go through the island and they teach you how to fight, because you have to go and save the girl that got dropped by a bird. And I
Right.
remember you had mentioned like the combat a little bit. Like
I
you thought,
was surprised. Now, we talked about this a little bit in our intro episode, but my retro gaming experience was very lacking. So I never
yeah,
had a GameCube before, so I made big jumps. So I was kind of surprised that a game from 2003
yeah,
in the GameCube had so many options. It wasn't just, spam this button to swing your sword. It was, you can dodge, you can hold different key bindings to attack in different ways, which was very surprising.
it's kind of funny because I wish I could piggyback on that and say like, yeah, but you did just swing the sword, right? but
True.
but there were, I wish I could say that, but I know there were some enemies where you actually did have to do things differently. And like I remember there's like a bridge, you could cut the bridge by doing the spin attack later on. But that kind of shows in the combat, like you do actually utilize all the different things when you do the spin attack. I think you attack and hold it down after you swipe, or after you sword
Right. And
attack, and
there
then
were a
it'll do a
couple
spin.
there were a
Yeah.
couple puzzles that needed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of the earlier puzzles you go through, one of the dungeons, there's this it's like a platform or a little cage structure that's held up by these three ropes, and you have to go in there and time it
Yeah.
just right using that special attack to
Yep.
cut all three, or you fall off incorrectly and then have to start the whole dungeon over again.
Yeah. And it was kind of
So
cool. I'll say, I do really like how they made you use that, because if you didn't use it there, you might not remember, and you'd probably go on longer and longer without using that. But that attack does come in handy when you have enemies around you. But again, like if they didn't reinforce it, they reinforced it without having somebody like pulling at your ear telling you, "Don't forget the spin attack."
oh, for sure.
Then you go into the forest and you get the girl that's definitely not Zelda.
Yeah, that was the second time after the sister where I'm like, okay, maybe this is Zelda, because
Every
they
girl is Zelda.
every girl's got to be Zelda, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now Zelda's a pirate, and but no, it was this little youngin by the name of Tetra, I think it was.
Yeah, which is fun. I mean, you got to like, okay, so a tetra is like a four, like what is it's something, right?
Like a shape.
Yeah, it's like a shape. It's a fish, actually. No, it is a shape, I think, but it means four. It's like a four-sided triangle, like the Triforce. There's clearly some connection there. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, I didn't really. So like the name, when I would I was, it's obviously Zelda, right? And I was like I couldn't remember her name, and when I looked it up, when I actually saw it was Tetra after I played some, and I was like, oh, that's got something to do with the Triforce or a triangle or something. So yeah, it's a fish.
Yep,
She's a fish. That's
tetrafish.com.
why she's in the water.
That's it. And see, this kind of goes into my lack of knowledge around all Zelda things. I know the Triforce is a thing.
Yeah,
My wife has been a big fan of Zelda, so I've seen the symbol. I know what Majora's Mask is, which different game. I know about the ocarina. She's got one of those over here somewhere. Past knowing what the symbol looks like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it's for. So it was definitely weird to come into this seeing it without the prior knowledge of all the other
yeah.
games. It was just like this weird thing.
I know all about it. I'm just not going to tell you, because I definitely know what the Triforce is, but I don't want to discuss it. Everyone's gonna have to trust me that I know exactly. I know it's so much more than three golden triangles arranged into one bigger triangle. Like I know for sure that it's got to be something more than that.
But how many triangles would there be actually? Because there'd be
It's one of those
one.
puzzles.
It's one of those puzzles where like how many how I keep seeing that on TikTok. Somebody will like go live and say, "How many triangles are here?" Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't have any idea what it actually is. I think maybe the Master Sword is affiliated with it. Like maybe it's part of the pyramid scheme in order to acquire. If you get enough people working under you, they give you a Master Sword.
this is going to be the best episode 1 of a podcast where the subject matter, the listeners going into it are going to know much more because everybody knows
Oh
Zelda.
yeah, dude, it's got to be so infuriating to listen to us not knowing.
Yeah,
But
I
hey,
have no
we all
idea.
have to start somewhere, okay? 34 years old, this guy's playing. He's doubled his time playing any Zelda games.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So it serves as the balance that weighs the three forces: power, wisdom, and courage. That's what the wiki says.
that's what the wiki says. Okay, and that's clearly the best source of truth.
And it grants mortals wishes. Okay, I don't want to. This isn't a. Please reference the gaming historian if you have any further questions. Okay, so yeah, you get this girl. She sends you to go. Your sister got kidnapped because she looks just like Zelda.
Yep, every blonde looks the same.
And then you go in, and it's Metal Gear Solid, to the T,
Oh,
right?
that initial that
Yeah,
initial dungeon that infuriated me. I think I had to run through. That took me probably an hour to get through
it was
because
tough.
I died so many times.
Yeah, it was tough because you would get caught and then thrown in the prison, or right,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So I don't know what happened, but I kept getting caught, and it would put you like through this prison, and you find your way out and stuff. And then I just took a break from it. I think I like went, I had something to do. I came back to it again the next time I played, and it was so much easier. Like, cause you kind of know what's going on. But I snuck past this stuff, and I didn't ever get thrown in the. I don't think I ever got thrown in the prison. The game, it's just a lot easier if you don't go to jail, just like real life.
Yeah, I did it in one sitting, and
Yeah.
it
Okay.
was it was painful.
Yeah. Not as painful as the boat obstacles, right?
No, that dungeon, I because what ended up doing me in a couple times kind of goes into like not fully understanding the controls. There, for those that haven't played the level, there's these patrols in certain areas. There's like these like bipedal pig looking dudes that are like guards. They have a big glaive and a lantern that are like patrolling these areas, and you have to like hide in these barrels and walk through them. But I was getting tripped up because if you moved too close or when they turned around, if you were still moving a little bit, they immediately saw you. So it's kind of learning like what limitations the game controls had.
Yeah.
And then also not realizing that
The
in
rat.
previous sections, you would aggro little easily killable like rats or bats or something, and not knowing that they're still coming to get you, getting pretty far into that area where you're stealthing, doing well, and then the rat comes and breaks your barrel, and
Yeah.
yeah, boom, there you are, you're back in jail.
I only got ratted out one time, I think. It was weird because there was only like one section where I even saw a rat. I don't know if something triggered them or what.
Yeah.
Like, I only
I
got
think it was
ratted
just
out one
proximity.
time.
I think it was proximity aggro, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
I was really worried. You know how they walk around the pig dudes and they
Yep.
like sniff?
Yep.
I thought for sure that was like if they sniffed when they were close to you, they were gonna sniff me out.
Same.
And I don't think that was a mechanic. They were really cool looking though. I know I've played a couple other Zelda games, and there's like the pig enemies and stuff. I know that's like a common theme.
Mhm.
But I really like this iteration of them and how they walked around, and like they had like a more like a cool look to them instead of it just being like a fat boar. They actually had kind of a weird like body type and stuff. I don't know.
They reminded me loosely um, of
Of another
the.
game, Breath of the Wild.
Well, no, if they were in Breath of the Wild, I didn't get that far. But no, World of Warcraft, the Mist of Pandaria, there was a sanctuary area,
Okay.
and in that area, it was very like Asian themed, and there were these like stone. I forget what they were called, but anyway, they had a very similar look to those. I need to look that up. To me, they had a very similar look and style to that, but definitely the Zelda ones had a more pig appearance.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was very, again very loosely. It just like a brief It reminded me of them a little bit.
I'm looking it up. It's called a moblin, is what it's called.
Is
Which
that in Zelda or in WoW?
that's in Zelda. I don't remember. I played Mists of Pandaria, but I never left the arena. Moblin. That's one thing I remember. Zelda has really strange names for all the enemies, like Moblin, and there's like doesn't matter. But yeah, I thought it was a cool looking enemy. I know you're gonna see it a lot playing through the game, but I kind
Right.
of thought it was neat.
Well, it's a lot easier once you got your sword back and you could actually fight. Which was the whole reason you were there, is that your
Oh
sword got knocked away, so you didn't get you didn't have your weapon.
yeah, dude, that was just as a lot of this game had. That was a plot point.
Yeah, and that was one of the notes I really didn't like, that they, and I get why they do it. It's content to play through and all that, but it's like it was a portion of the game that was making you do a thing just for the sake of making you do it. There
There
wasn't
was a lot
any.
of that. I
Yeah, it
felt
was like there
like
was no
yeah,
consequence to what you're doing. It's just you're not. And again, that kind of speaks to like those older games. There was limit sizes on the cartridges, and they could only do so much. I get that, but there was pieces of the game that felt like you were stuck. There's nothing you could do. Like, oh,
yeah.
in newer games, if you lose a thing, there might be multiple paths to get it,
Did you
because these
feel a
games
sense of
can.
adventure because of that?
I felt a sense of frustration.
I wonder if I feel like it won't, but I wonder if the stealth mechanic of that ever comes back because it didn't in the following dungeon, you know?
Yes.
I like when games introduce a mechanic and then you use it again. I'm not a big fan of when it's like a one-off mechanic like that. Like hiding in a cardboard box in Metal Gear Solid. It's the same, but at least in Metal Gear Solid you can use it through the whole game, you know? It's also kind of a strange decision to give you a sword, teach you how to use it. You have this, and then you never actually do really use it, and then they take the sword away from you for the next, depending on how bad you are at the game, the next hour or two.
Yes.
Kind of strange choice. But I guess maybe there's something cute about that, like maybe you're not as much of a hero as you think you are, kind of thing. And then Tetra gives you a cell phone. Very nice of her. Okay, so yeah, you try to retrieve your sister, and then a bird throws you out instead of killing you or just eviscerating you like we all know birds do. It just throws you in the middle of the ocean, and you have nothing going for you anymore.
Yeah, and that again kind of speaks, in my eyes, my opinion, that nothing you did really mattered. There was no try to fight, like let you fight the bird, and maybe if you lose,
Right.
it throws you out into the ocean. It was just, oh, sorry, the person you were here to find can't get him. You're being chucked out to the ocean. It
Now,
that
yeah, go ahead.
it reminded me of the classic Mario going through the dungeon, fighting Bowser. The princess should be there. Nope, it's Toad to tell you they're somewhere else.
Sorry, your princess is in another
Yeah,
castle.
it's just the constant, like, you worked your butt off to get this whole level, and then the payoff is saying sorry they were never here to begin with, or you know what I
Now,
mean?
what if I told you that you fight that bird later on? You get to go back and you
Oh,
fight the bird later on.
that
I didn't get that far,
right,
but and sorry everybody, but yeah, that's kind of cool that you get introduced to it
right,
a little bit, and like you're probably very ill equipped. I know you're gonna need that grappling hook because that's the
yeah,
ideal choice a weapon for a bird
of course,
is a
of
grappling
course,
hook in my experience. But that's kind of cool. I do like that. Like there's some, you get introduced to a boss early on and you're not capable of beating it because it just picked you up and threw you into the ocean. So that's kind of cool. And then you're going to come back. I did see that through a little bit of brief research, but I don't know. Did you like that area like at all? How did you feel about just the general area that like the stealth mechanics and stuff? Like
once I got over
10 out of 10?
once yeah, for sure. Everybody add this to your backlog right away, play it immediately. No, once you get past like the learning curve of those older controls, I think it became more enjoyable. Is it a perfect game in my opinion? No. But it's not terrible. But that's also coming
Yeah.
from somebody who's now, we're in the days of PS5s and all
Yeah.
this stuff. It's very hard to go back to some of these
It
games.
ain't no God of War, right?
Right. So there's definitely an asterisk there of like what I
Yeah.
would have definitely come at this game differently if I was playing it back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, man. It's I feel like if we could have played it back then, maybe it would have just kind of been mind-blowing. And I feel like we had the time to play it
Oh,
back
for
then too.
sure.
Like just really that it would just feel vast and amazing. But every game now is already so darn big, you know. They're
Hmm.
just but yeah.
It was also a reminder of again back to like cartridge sizes and stuff. Like there we didn't see like real voice acting in any of these games for a while. So you get the weird grunts and awkward mouth sounds just for the sake of having a sound in there. So there was definitely going back. It kind of reminded me of all those little silly things that you didn't really think about when you were a little teenager.
So yeah, okay, I'll piggyback on that a little bit. That what you just mentioned is like still very prevalent in like it never left Nintendo, man. It's like, like Mario's like yelling "Wahoo" as he
Yeah,
jumps.
that is very
I'm
true.
not gonna I don't want to get copyright strike by doing that way too good. But that's very much like a staple of, and I never liked that very much. I get it, like you don't want your character to be silent, but it's odd to me. As far as dialogue goes, I feel like this game really hit the sweet spot on dialogue. If you think about older games where it was like there really wasn't a story,
Mhm.
because it's just like there's so little dialogue that the adventures all like there's nothing
Right.
to tell the story. And then you get a newer game where it's like you wake up, 6 hours later and you fell asleep on a dialogue screen.
Yeah.
This game really nailed it with the sweet spot, and the dialogue was good. Like there was even some like little quips and kind of jokes and stuff like that. Like it was. I feel like this is top tier amount of dialogue and writing. Really good for me. I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think on that?
I did notice it, and again, I because I didn't play those games back then, I guess I don't have a good frame of reference outside of what we currently have.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what I was thinking of. Is just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
games in general.
And and my initial comment was more on voice acting, lack thereof. But you are right. There was dialogue in text form, so
Yeah.
there definitely is substance there. It wasn't just lacking. So there definitely is there definitely is dialogue there. I read through some of it. I mean, there are going to be I won't lie. There are some that I kind of skipped over.
Right.
As you do, not really paying attention to it, or if you're trying to get through the game or whatever it is. But there on the parts I did read through, it was it fit the scene it was in.
Well, I think that's a common thing people complain about in games now, like especially on the Nintendo spectrum, is the dialogue is very heavy in them,
Mhm.
and it takes you're playing a game.
Right.
I don't even know how to read. I'll admit it. So just having a book in front of me is really tough to focus on and to enjoy.
Right.
We're playing a game because I want to cut up pigs with a sword.
Yeah, one game to tangent for a moment on dialogue. One game, recent game that really the dialogue put me off was the Pokemon Arceus.
It just yeah, Pokemon games in general.
Yeah, I feel like they've gotten worse as they've gone older, but
Yeah,
Arceus, I remember there was a good like 30 minutes where I only got like two breaks of like a minute or two in between where it started
yeah,
another scene.
yeah.
So that was one of the few games that really frustrated me with dialogue, but Wind Waker didn't have that. So there was text to read through, but it wasn't like slamming it down your throat.
I agree fully with that. Can't I have a hard time getting through new games because of the
Yeah.
dialogue. So okay, so then the boat says, "Hey, I just happen to I'm a late model. I need to be retrofitted with a sail. We're gonna take you to this little island, and you're gonna go buy a sail." How did that go for
That
you?
oh man, I kid you not. I set the controller down and just like had to take a minute. It was such a weird like okay, hey, we're going to save our sister that was just taken by a massive bird. We tried,
Mm,
we failed, got thrown God knows where. And then oh, hey, here's this bright red dragon-headed talking boat that just happened to find me. And it
this
happened to be
bulbous
this
nosed dragon boat.
yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm this ancient magical boat that can help you in all your troubles. I just so happen to know all the problems you're having, and I can help them. But a crucial part of my being, I don't have a sail. Can you go get me one?
Yeah.
It was a really in all honesty, it was a real weak introduction to a
It was a
very
plot device.
yeah, it was like it's this very important
Yeah.
piece of the game. It's how you get all over this world is this boat. So you're going to be using it for a while, and the introduction to it was just like, oh hey, by the way, that I'm a boat. I can help you. It just it didn't land for me.
Yeah, I agree. It felt like a lot of. I mean, maybe the game won't have that later on, but it did kind of feel like a lot of that. You go and you get this sale from, and that's another thing. You buy the sale, and the guy that you buy it from doesn't even tell you what you're buying,
Yeah,
right? And
I
I was
went
like really
through.
weirded out about that because he's like, "Oh, I'll sell you that object that you want or something."
Yeah, I went through and I could not figure out who I was supposed to buy it from. I think
Yeah,
I didn't look up many things for this. This was one
yeah,
of the first things I had to look up because I was genuinely confused on what I
right.
was supposed to do. To the point where I think I tried buying something else. I
Yeah,
couldn't afford it, and
yeah,
one thing I happened to maybe afford, they're like, "Oh no, you." There was some reason I couldn't buy it, and I can't remember the specifics. But it was like the game telling me that, like, "Oh no, you can't use your money on that. You have to go buy this other thing." But
yeah.
it wouldn't direct me to where I was supposed to go.
Strange choice in a game to the first thing you have to buy is a required item that takes up all of the money you have.
Right.
Weird, I don't know, strange.
Yeah.
Did you meet the old man with the pots to get you money on the island?
I remember going into a room that had pots and I started breaking them and somebody
And
yelled
he's
at
like,
me.
"Yo, hey, whoa, whoa, whoa,
Yeah.
buddy."
Yeah. So then I left.
Okay. But you didn't actually you didn't go talk to them
No,
to
no,
that
I didn't
guy?
know you could get to him.
Dude, this guy's a real jerk, okay? You go in there, he says like, "Hey, okay, you break pots, it's Zelda. That's what you do, right? That's the whole point of the game is breaking pots." You go to this old guy and you actually go you can enter the upstairs of his house and you talk to him and he's like, "Oh, like poor me, my daughter's been abducted by a giant bird cuz she's looks like Zelda, probably." And he's like, like, "Can you please help me? Can you rescue her for me?" Sure, I'm the hero of the game. I break pots. That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, I'll help you, buddy. So you agree to help him, and he's like, "This guy's a jerk, dude." He says, "Go break some pots downstairs and get some money, and I'll put some rupees in the pots for you, so you can have money to go buy your stupid sail for your dragon boat." You go down there and what do? You break the pots, right?
Yeah.
So you get your money and you're like, "Yeah, I got enough money to buy this sail." And he's like, "Whoa, you broke a lot of pots. I'm gonna charge you for each one that you broke. You broke 10 or whatever." So then he takes money away from you. This guy,
What?
and like this is right after you agree. If I meet this guy's daughter, I'm leaving her on that island. She can rot. That bloodline's done because she's gonna turn out just like him,
Oh my god.
probably. So I don't know. I thought that was ridiculous, but it's kind of funny. But it's also like I bet you that's not gonna come up again. Like you're probably not gonna get in trouble for breaking another pot for the rest of the game ever.
And maybe it was their attempt at like a fourth wall break of like Zelda's always about breaking pots, you know? Maybe they were trying to make light of it and it just didn't, maybe it fell flat.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah, that guy's a real jerk.
A real jerk.
Okay, so you get this. You buy that object that we can't name, and you get this thing, and then you go sailing, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any issues finding
The uh
the
the
island?
sailing mechanics are fine. You know, it's
Yeah,
basically
they
walking.
were. Yeah,
But what confused me is I think it gives you
it is.
I think it gives you a wind direction marker. And
Okay.
I thought that was the quest marker of where I'm supposed to go. So I just started sailing into nothing.
Yeah.
You know, just having a good old
Did you
time.
see anything?
I saw a couple like, floating crates where you can like, get little
Oh
things
yeah, I did
here.
see. I remember seeing that. Yeah.
I found a little island that I hopped off on, and I think I don't know, there's probably a crate or something on it. And then another boat went by with like a bunch of people like paddling. So I jumped off and then started talking to them, and it just happened to be a set of NPCs that give you a map.
Yeah.
I don't know if I got lucky and just happened to find the ones that do that, or if it just knows you don't have a map and then keeps giving you opportunities to get the map. So it was a little
I'm
weird
not
there.
even sure if I remember that. I don't know if I got a map or not. I remember finding a box and getting
It
it.
was definitely how I interpreted it was I just happened to randomly come across this boat of like it
Yeah.
was like a leader dude and maybe like 6 or 7 dudes that were like rowing. or something.
Oh
And
wow, I didn't see
they're
any of
like,
that.
oh hey, if you're new to the seas, you should take this map. And then like boom, and then you get the map, and then he turns around and puts his hand in the sky. He's like, you got a map, and they do that weird little animation of you getting.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
oof.
Every dude, yeah, I
Dude,
know, and
like
it's a Zelda thing.
yeah, I wasn't. I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe if I was 12 at the time of playing it, it'd be a little fun. But
If you are listening to this podcast and that is your ringtone for a text message or something, you are gonna hate me for this. Yeah, so okay, so it was, I guess I did have a map. It didn't show anything, but it showed like the location that I needed to go. It was like squares.
yes,
So I went there. Yeah. I didn't like the bird people's faces.
yeah, I think I sent you a picture while I was playing through
Yep.
of
Yeah.
he reminded me of like a bird Hank Hill.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
for anybody that wants to see Bird Hank Hill, go. He was the postal guy, and I think you have to
Yeah.
like
That's
do a
the
job
yep.
for it. So like a little mini game where you have to sort mail.
Didn't do it.
I I did the
Nope.
first two rounds and then couldn't do the last one.
Man, that's literally their job, dude.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
don't try
I
and pawn
think
it
I
off
think
on
it's
me.
supposed to give
I'm a
you.
hero.
I think it was supposed to give you a little side mini quest where
Cool.
if you can do it fast enough, he then says, "Oh, hey, by the way, you're good enough to sort my mail. Can you go deliver this other thing?" And he basically gives you like a parcel, and there's a mailbox outside on the island, and you just go put it in the mailbox. I think that's it.
That's guy's so lazy. He has wings. This guy can fly. He's honestly more equipped for this like quest than you are.
Yeah. But,
In general. Yeah, imagine how easy the first dungeon would have been if you could fly. That guy
oh
is
my lord.
the laziest.
There was
Terrible.
something else because
It's like a penguin. He's a bird, but he can't. He's not. He's choosing not to fly.
oh,
Terrible.
real quick, back to our friendly neighborhood boat. Um,
Yeah. Sorry.
so this game, no, it's related to the Bird Island. So when you get on the boat for the first time, and then when you finally get in the direction of where you're supposed to go to the next island, we'll call it, I don't know, Bird Island. It was like Roost
Yeah, it
something.
was bird. That was definitely
Yeah,
it. Bird
Bird
Island.
Island for sure. 10 out of 10. The game says, "Oh, by the way, when you land on this island, you're probably." It was the game's way of saying you're going to need this item, but you get the item, the Wind Waker, which
Yeah.
which two things real quick. Before I knew that we were going to do this game, I thought it was the Wind Walker. Fun
Okay.
thing.
Cool.
I also didn't know that the Wind Waker was an item, and the Wind Waker is an item. And for those that don't know, it's the most obvious item you could possibly think of. It's a what would you call it? It's the thing. This little
Like a
stick.
direct music
Yeah,
composer stick or
it's a
whatever it's called.
composer's stick. What is that called? I actually need to find out what this is called.
It's called a baton.
Is it a baton? So it's
A
like
conductor,
a
not a
conductor,
composer.
a composer's.
A conductor's baton.
So
It's also known as a cudgel, mace, nightstick, rod, truncheon, and a wand.
and I was so confused. I didn't know that there was going to be a musical element to this game. I didn't know that was an
Yeah.
item. It was very surprising because I didn't know.
Yeah, this wasn't Legend of Zelda, Cudgel of Wind, Ocarina of Time. Yeah, I guess that was like, I don't know if they were like really piggybacking hard off the Ocarina thing from the last gen. Maybe they loved it. I don't know. Maybe that's just a Zelda thing too. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So it just so happens that the random boat that you befriend.
It's like, hey,
Oh, by the way, I have this extremely powerful, let's say magical, maybe, item
yeah,
that, oh, if you need it, maybe you could use it. And sure enough,
bet that'll never come up
yeah,
again.
exactly. Sure enough, you end up needing it. The whole mechanic is it helps you like tune in to this like godly magical force that the gods help you in certain ways. So you have to invoke, I think the god of the wind is the first one.
Right.
So yeah, that was the other thing I had to look up because I was fully stumped on what the hell to do because I did all my mail sorting and I talked to people that didn't want to be talked to and I was like, okay, what do I do now? And
Right.
that was it.
Yeah, and then again, you don't really use that for a long time.
Yeah.
Did you use it? Did you actually? So okay, you get all these mail. You do the mail quest. You do all that. Then you have to throw this girl up onto a ledge, right?
Yep.
Now, did you know that you use the stick to do that?
I think
The cudgel?
yeah. To the cudgel to progress into that level, you had to
Yeah.
use. You had to go like it was on off the beach. There was this little stone, and you had to like basically activate its powers to progress the
What?
story. Yeah, like I hit a point where I could not continue. Um,
I don't remember
yeah,
that.
so I was sitting there playing it. And I was like, okay, I'm stuck. I'm running around in circles. I got my phone out, looked it up, and it's like, oh yeah, you have to go activate the wind god's power so you can like I forget what it was exactly, but it basically it did a thing to where I could go and throw her off the thing or whatever.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
But I actually didn't use it there. I saw that you needed to. C- Spoiler, I had to use a guide actually
yeah.
because I was having such a hard time throwing her. But apparently you can just throw her on the ledge without using the conductor's baton,
Yeah, okay, yeah.
the
So
Wind
so
Waker.
after you initially use it off the beach with that stone with the little, up like up
Yeah.
left down right. After that, I never used it. So when I threw her, I realized I was too close. So I kept throwing her and she
Yeah,
was
you
just
have to
slamming
stand
it.
back on that ledge,
Yeah, so
right?
I had to go back for and then that's
Yeah.
I never used it after that.
Honestly, this goes right back to what I said earlier. Those bird people are way more equipped for this quest than Link ever could
Of
be.
course.
I beat that girl senseless throwing her into the. I did. I'm not kidding, man. I know I'm not good at video games, but dude, that girl is to even still be alive and talking after what she went through. Just the amount of times I just bludgeoned her into a wall on accident.
Yeah, the story reason was like, oh, we're too busy to deal with whatever's going.
We're too busy to deal with the world ending.
Yeah, it was very
We're
very true.
busy. We're way too busy. Also, can you do my job for me?
Exactly.
Sort the mail and deliver it. I'm too busy. Can't do it. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
not impressed with.
I
I think bird people would be way better in real
Oh, for
life
sure.
than they were in
I
this
th-
game.
I believe because I was getting I think I played about 3.5 hours of this, and I'm still only to Bird Island,
Yeah.
and I got
Dragon's Roost,
Dragon's
I
Roost.
think is what it
Yeah,
was.
I got almost to the top. I believe I
Yeah.
believe I dealt with the angry dragon up at the top. I dealt with him, and I was on my trek
You
back.
saw him up there, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Okay.
all the way to him. I got all the way. I took care of it. He was happy, and then we were basically having to trek back down the mountain.
He was
And
happy?
he no, he like he what this the story you get up there, you do a thing,
Yeah.
whatever resolves itself for that scene, and then
Did
it's
you
like,
fight the boss?
I believe I fought the boss, and then I come.
The boss, the giant centipede?
Oh Lord, I
Yeah,
messed with
no.
some.
Couldn't have.
Then maybe not. I believe I got pretty
Yeah.
high up, and then it was basically on the trek back down the mountain. But I was having to go back. I was having to go like into the dungeon more.
You get a grappling hook,
Yeah, I got
right?
the grappling hook.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so the way the way the story unfolds, you get the grappling hook, you meet the dragon, you see that he's under a large amount of distress, he's trying to have a bowel movement, can't get it out. You have to go down into the toilet and help him. Use the grappling hook and you go through like a very big like lava-filled dungeon with this grappling hook and
Yes, that's what it was. So
yeah.
the things coming out like Ragnaros, like out of the lava and all that, right? From World of Warcraft.
There's a giant
Yeah,
there's a giant centipede.
yeah, he's coming out. Yes, and I think that's where I died. Because
Me too.
because I realized that you had to like poke the dragon's butt or whatever with the grappling hook, and I kept getting hit before I could do it. And
Yeah.
then I hit my like 3.5 4 hour mark, and I'm like, all right, guys, I think that's it.
Enough is enough. Yeah, I actually okay, so yeah, the whole dungeon, man, it was cool. It was fine. It was very standard Zelda fare. The camera stuff, especially with the boss, was very difficult to deal with, especially with 30 years of playing games and having the camera horizontal.
Yep.
I looked up, did you use you looked things up? Did you use a guide for any of this?
The only two things I looked up were the sail and the
Okay.
how to use the Wind Waker.
Very financially wise of you not to just buy things that the guy wouldn't tell you what you're getting. That's okay. So I looked up a little bit of a guide, especially there was a part where you had to throw a bomb to make a platform fall. Do you recall that? You like throw a bomb in an urn on a wall and it knocks the platform down.
Yes.
So I had to watch a guide because I just I don't know. It just seemed impossible to throw it. That's when I found out that the character auto jumps. Did you like,
Oh,
I thought you had to jump every
yeah, I
time.
found that out way too late.
Yeah, same. So I found that out because I watched somebody playing the game. Now, I watched them playing the Wii U version of the game,
Mhm.
and they were having the same problems with the camera and stuff. Like you could tell they were just fighting the camera the whole time.
Right.
Even with the lock on function, you go to lock on and it would like fail to like lock onto the thing. It would like,
Right.
there's one enemy on the screen. If you hit the lock on button, it would still have an issue with that. I don't understand why or how, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting that like, the Wii U version still had a camera problem.
Yeah.
And the boss was made very difficult because the camera was tough. And that's pretty much how far I got. I knocked the boss's hull of his shell off, and then I happened to die, and then it put me at the beginning of the dungeon again.
Yep. That's when I really looked at the clock and I'm like, all right, I don't wanna go through that again. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't put you, I don't think it puts you all the way at the back, but it puts you a good distance back. Like you had gone through a lot of stuff to get to that point where the
Yeah.
boss was. I'm like,
Yeah. But I guess like you don't have to go, you already still have the grappling hook, so you don't have to like
right,
go get it again. You can kind of just shortcut to it.
right.
That was kind of enough for me. I feel like that was where I was like, okay, I know, sorry, I didn't beat the game, but it's a Zelda game. I feel like I kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
That was enough for me. If you put me back at the beginning of a dungeon, I'm probably gonna, and especially like, I think I had to stop playing too, so I came back to it like a couple days later or something. I had already kind of wiped my memory of like where I was and how to navigate the place.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it
yeah,
definitely made me, what I was saying before, it made me appreciate newer games and autosaves. Just,
yeah,
I mean, how it is mid-April 2023 right now. My wife and I have been playing through Hogwarts Legacy, and that thing saves every like 5 seconds. Like it's the games nowadays, it knows that it's frustrating trying to go back and redo stuff. But those older games didn't have automatic saves. Some of them didn't have saves at all. It definitely felt like some of these older retro ones. It was basically just how far can you go this time, and then you keep trying over again, over and over and over.
yeah.
And this wasn't any different. With it had some story in there, but it definitely was still, you're gonna have to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying.
Yeah, and that's kind of that's both good and bad. I feel like it kind of artificially adds a little bit of like playtime to the games, but now they boost it with dialogue.
Yep.
Autosave and dialogue. Okay, so yeah, the enemies that were in there, I just wanted to mention there was like the smaller centipede enemy, and there were like, it's kind of cool, there were timed attacks on it.
Yes.
If you waited for it to strike, you would one shot it. I thought that was pretty cool because they teach you when you fight, when the guy's teaching you how to do, you can kind of like, he taught you about the timed attacks. I thought that was cool.
Yep.
I liked that.
Those got me a couple times.
Parrying, I think it was like a form of parrying he taught you.
Right. All the base level enemies, not the bosses, because those all have their own mechanics and stuff.
Yeah.
But all the enemies that we encountered, I thought they were good.
Yeah, I like the enemies. They're classic. It's a Zelda game. They use a lot of the same enemies, but they change it up a little bit from each iteration. I did like the fire centipede boss. I thought it was really cool looking, very ominous. How was it there? Why were all these enemies in this place that you couldn't even access? I don't know.
Yeah, that is something that fantasy has an issue with. That I think newer games and newer designers and developers are starting to become aware of it. That if you have a dungeon or a locked away thing, why are these things that you've been seeing out in the real world or out in the open world, why are they in there? If you're in a place that you can't get to, why are there things in there?
Right.
If the monsters that are there, do they make sense to be there?
To me, they didn't. No.
Yeah. So I
because they were like, yeah, they were. This was like this is the dragon's roost. This is like, there's literally a dragon on one end of it and a town full of people on the other. Did they just march in a bunch of centipedes and stuff?
Exactly.
Like past all these very, very busy birdmen?
Yeah,
Probably not.
I think this is kind of where I also have to remember that this, in all honesty, it was marketed to children, so it doesn't have to make all the sense in the world.
Yeah, I
You know,
guess. I don't know.
and I think nowadays, like the games that we're getting into now, they know they're going to market it to not just children. They can market
Yeah,
a game, God of War. They can market it to adults. That's who it's for mostly, right?
sure. Yeah,
Your teenager and on, right? It's not marketed to my 7 year old. So this game back in the early 2000s, this would have been marketed towards my potentially my 7 year old, a 10 year old or something. So it doesn't have
right.
to make the most sense.
Yeah,
Because this is one of my comments when you get a glimpse of Ganon for the first time. It to me it had a feeling of like, oh yeah, there's this really super big bad dude that's just there. And it's like, yeah, he's bad, and that's the intro you get to him.
that's kind of every Zelda game. Maybe they just assume that that there's like a bad dude coming.
But it was, it's like and the reaction I feel like that the your character gets was, oh, who's that? Is okay, if
Yeah.
he's such a super big bad dude,
Then why did I oversleep today?
why did you ever why how did you not know about it? So you got this world in Wind Waker where it's all these little closed off islands, but
Hmm.
when you step away from your island, like the bird people, they know all about the stuff, and the bird people are the ones that do the mail, and they're like the people that connect all these other places outside of people boating, but none of this info gets passed around from place to place. It was
Yeah.
just a weird thing, inconsistencies. But again, it's not made to make sense for 30 something year olds doing a podcast in 2023, right? So it was made to be fun for children.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like for a kid, this would be very fun.
Oh, for sure.
Really.
My son actually one of the times I was playing over the weekend,
Oh
trying to
yeah.
figure out the
That's this.
controls, he would come up and he would watch me for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
He liked it, but again, it's bright colors and a game he's never seen
Yeah.
before. Daddy's playing
Yeah.
it, so he wants to see what Daddy's doing and all that. So yeah, I'm hoping, quick tangent. I'm hoping that when we get to some of these games, if they're appropriate, I can have him play with me a little bit. So that'd be pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be cool. They can kind of he could maybe you could ask him what he thought.
Oh, for sure.
So you could get somebody who's not jaded, get a little bit of a somebody who doesn't have like that's not like has a sore back while they're playing.
I go into his room at like 2 in the morning. He's sitting there playing, smoking a cigarette. Like, I'm trying to beat Ganon. I've almost got Ganon, Daddy. I almost got him.
It's like I know I gotta work in the morning, but it's gotta beat Ganon. Okay, so yeah, I feel like that's kind of the discussion of the game. I feel like we've kind of covered everything about like our experience with it. Do you want to kind of move on to discussing like the overall? I feel like we hated it.
I
Sorry.
I'm not gonna say, hey guys, don't play this game. The little I know about Zelda games is from the little clips online of what I see people playing for Breath of the
Yeah.
Wild, or people just talking about it in those gaming spaces. So I know the unbelievably basic sense of Zelda, and it was a fun game. It had difficult controls, but it didn't
There it is.
it didn't take it. It wouldn't make me say no. I won't ever suggest anybody play it. Will I play it again? No. But I'd say if you want to experience an old Zelda game and you've never played it before, give it a try.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I'm kind of in the same boat for the most part. I think if you like Zelda games, this is your 10 out of 10. If you're a Zelda guy, I feel like this is probably best case scenario from the little bit I've touched down on other games. If you like the 3D era of Zelda, the graphics of the game are great. It's the sweet spot, just like the dialogue I said. It's the sweet spot of graphics. It's cartoony enough, but it'll never not look good because it's drawn in that, or it's, made in the style where that's the way it's supposed to look. If you compare it to other games at the time period on other consoles, God of War, it looks hazy or blocky. Some of the enemies just like they look that, they just don't look as good. It's timeless. It's a perfect art style, great looking game. It's just I don't think it's for me. But oddly enough, I wish I played it when it came out. I wish I had a GameCube as a kid and I could have played it. I feel like it was a perfect summertime spring game. It would have been I would have loved to like have a little Zelda action figure and play in the swimming pool or something like that, but
For sure.
as an adult,
It's hard.
I don't know. I'm siding with Ganon on this one probably.
I do think to jump in, I do think if I was to go back and play it, I may play the what was it, the Genesis had or no, the Wii U, excuse me, the Wii U. They had re-released it, so I wonder if that would make
Yeah.
any difference in a
Yeah, it'd be
playthrough.
cool. I'd like to. I wish I could compare the two of them, but I'm not going to get two copies of the same game and run through everything. It would have. I think that would have been maybe that's the definitive. That might possibly be the definitive way to play it. If you like Zelda, it's probably a 10 out of 10 game. If you're like super into it, but yeah, not necessarily. It's weird though. I'm saying all this and I feel like I'm trashing the game, but in some ways I kind of want to play it still. I don't know. I don't know if it's just like I feel like I need to keep going or what. I feel like it's a good game. It just maybe I can recognize it's a good game. It's just not for me.
Yeah. No, I think the controls really make it hard to want to jump back in for me because just the camera alone, I mean, it defaults to
Yeah.
that weird inverted horizontal axis, and the camera will follow you, but it's not following you well enough. So, I mean, little tweaks there, just for like ease of play, would go miles. But story wise, and the Zelda-esque feeling is definitely there.
I think maybe Breath of the Wild and this game are probably like at the top of most people's list, more than likely. Maybe the Wii U, dude. If the Wii U had motion controls, that would be not the definitive edition. The definitive edition. If you have motion, because that was big with Wii U and Wii was motion controls. I don't think anybody would like that.
Yeah, because I know there was a Zelda game on the Wii that my wife had played, but I cannot for the life of me think of which one it is right now.
Okay, next week we're gonna be doing Aladdin,
Yes.
going all the way back to the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis era, and gonna be a street rat.
We're gonna be
for a
Street
short
Rat.
time.
Yeah, we went with of course a 20-year-old game this week, and we're gonna go back 10 years further to
Yeah.
1993 for some good old Aladdin magic.
Yeah, and then the week following that, we're gonna go to actual ping pong.
There it is.
Going to Vietnam, guys.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. That wraps up our discussion of Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. If you enjoyed this episode, please let us know with a thumbs up, a comment, or sharing with your friends and family. If you're able to do so, play along with us. We'll post upcoming games to our socials and what games are up next at the end of each episode. This has been 321 Backlog by Alec L. and James T. Our show music is Lift Off by Amy Waters. You can find this song and more of their work at amywaters.bandcamp.com. You can connect with us on any of our social media pages and by sending us an email at 321backlog@gmail.com. Until next time.